Hi everyone and welcome to our Facebook Live. My name's Alyssa and I'm the Marketing Manager here at Katoomba. And today I'm so pleased to be back with Paul Carbis from Carbis Business Management. Hey Paul.
Hi, welcome everyone. Apparently today we're going to talk about targets, and I'm really glad that we are, because it's one of the, how do I put this? If it's done well, it's so important for your business.
Yeah.
But when done badly, it is disruptive, it's demeaning on staff, it upsets staff, it has so many negative effects when it's done badly, with all good intention of trying to lift the business. But when it's not done right, it can have such a negative effect. And I know lots of business owners who have been great therapists and don't necessarily have management skills go, I need to set targets and I need to, but they need to do it right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's what I want to talk about today.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm all about obviously how to set them, but also help your team achieve them. It's such an important topic. And kind of over this coming month of September, we're going to be talking about targets a lot as well. So this is kind of the kickoff to everything that we're going to be putting together for you guys about this particular topic. And we were just really keen to, obviously we've got an amazing Katoomba targets feature in Katoomba One, but we really want to get it from the perspective of somebody that's actually used that feature and somebody who knows how to set targets as well. And so it's everything that happens before you then pop into Katoomba One and set those up for your staff. So this will be such a valuable session, I'm sure.
I love the idea of targets because at the moment I'm on a bit of a campaign about leading. Right? Mm-hmm. I'm a believer that most of the lovely ladies in our industry actually want to be led. They actually want guidance. They want to be shown what to do. They want a path forward that they can follow. And if you don't do that, you're almost leaving them in no man's land. And one of the great things about targets is it immediately sets you up as leader. And it gives you a way of actually leading your staff down a road for improvement. And I think it's really vital in our industry, where people can become very complacent. And yet we've seen over the last 12 months at least, prices of everything have gone up. Every supplier have put their prices up. The price of petrol for deliveries, everything's gone up. And so we really need to be very competitive, and setting targets fits how we make that competitiveness. So I love Katoomba One because I can set a whole range of different targets for staff, and they can see them daily, weekly, minute by minute on how their progression is going. Okay, so we can set all sorts of targets. They can look at total income, they can look at services, they can look at retail, they can look at what retail is appointment, what retail is walk-in, they can look at all sorts of things, rebooking percentage. And new clients and what rebooking of new clients as well. So all of these things come in as really great targets that we can set on for staff in Katoomba One, and we can reset it every week if we want to, for higher or lower, and they can look at it daily. They can be checking in every couple of times a day to see where they're up to. And I think it's really important. So gone are the days now in most good salons where you ask a girl how many retail, what's your retail for the week, and they go, I have no idea.
Yeah.
This means that they can be on it every single day. And I know in the salons that I coach, we use targets quite successfully. There's one target that doesn't do that I really wish it would do, and that is number of items.
Yeah, you were saying that to me the other day. It'll have to be a feature request, Paul.
I put in a request. But it does do dollars. And so we can work on a dollar basis of increasing and increasing and increasing until we get to where the target is. So Katoomba One really helps because it takes away that I don't knows. And it takes away the I can't check because I don't have access, or the, and it only means that they can check their own. So instead of showing a girl the whole figures for the whole salon, they're just looking at their own figures, and it's safe and it's secure. And it's
just got to pick the right security settings. But I think I think we've even got a security setting that is targets only. So literally, if they log into number one, the only thing that they can see is their own targets, which is super secure for your business and really, really easy to set up as well.
And you can do one where the manager of the business might be able to see the targets of everyone. So really easy. And if you're not sure how to do it, the help desk for Katoomba are really good at walking you through it. So I love the system because it takes away that I don't know, I didn't realize, I wasn't aware. And that to me is one of the big hurdles that we need to do in targets. So targets for me, there are two main aspects to setting targets and getting staff to achieve them. They are, you have to have a very clear idea of what your end result needs to be. All right. So for instance, in the salons that I coach, retail has to be worth 30% of the girl's total income. All right. Minimum. Okay. So there's our baseline. So if you earn $3,000 for the week, then you need to make about $1,000 in retail. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
All right. So given that girls that have been on a roster for a while will have set hours, will see roughly the same number of customers per week, then we can start setting targets for things like retail sales. Similarly, we can do it for services, we can do it for e-booking, we can do it for all sorts of things. So you have to have an end result. You must know what it is that you need them to get to. And you need to do that for two areas. One, the total salon, because if you've got 5 girls working for you or 2 girls working for you, their sum target has to equal your total. So that's really important, that you split your targets into what are salon targets and then what are individual targets. And the individual targets have to add up to the total salon target. All right. So what are you trying to achieve? And the second one is, how long do you have to reach that? Now, so the time frame becomes really important. Is this target achieved over 12 months, over 1 month, over 1 week, over what's the time frame? All right. Now, there are 2 key words in this. The first one is achievable. There is no point setting a target that is beyond the ability of a therapist to do. Okay? So a senior therapist in New Zealand has an average hit rate of 1 in 3 clients. So if they see 30 clients, they should sell about 10 items. If their average spend per client is $80 to $100, they're going to make about $3,000. Therefore, they're going to do about $1,000 in retail. Okay? The key word here is achievable. That figure is achievable in this country. If you go and set that figure at $2,000, you're now only talking about 5% of all the therapists in this country that do that.
Yeah.
So if you've got a graduate or a girl with only 1, 2, 3 years experience, setting a target like that is probably unattainable. And all you're going to do is set her up for failure.
Yep, and so demotivate her.
Yeah. So the word achievable becomes really important. The second mistake I see is that salon owners are impatient, and I get why. You want to make money. But doing things too quickly can also be a way of putting the girls in a position where they can't manage. Now, I'm a believer that too quick and unachievable means failure. Achievable and in a realistic time frame means success. Let me give it to you like this. If you were a fairly young therapist and I said to you, I need you to sell 10 items a week. And you've only been selling 2.
Yeah.
So you go, right, okay, yeah. And you sell 3. Fail. 4, fail. 5, fail.
Yeah.
After 3, but I can't do this.
Mm.
But if the goal had been, I need you to reach 3 items a week, almost to the point where they can't fail. Almost so easy that they have to reach it. What happens is they achieve and you go, well done, thank you, terrific, I'm so proud of you. And they get praise, they get thanks, they may even get reward.
Yeah.
You then together set the next achievable step, which might be 4 items or it might be $200.
Mm-hmm.
So that it can be measured in Katoomba.
Yeah.
And they go, bang, and hit it. So then together you make that 250.
Yeah.
Bang, hit it. Make it 300. And even if they fail, they've had so many yeses, congratulations, well done, proud of you. They're willing to give it another red hot go because they know that, they want that praise.
Yeah.
Now,
and they'll be confident as well, like you're gaining confidence over time. Whereas, if you immediately fail,
It takes longer. It takes a hell of a lot more patience. It's frustrating because you actually need them to make this money. But by having what I call small, so small, it's virtually can't fail, achievable, and that's a realistic for their experience and knowledge base, sequential, so there's a logical progression to them. You can't go 100, 200, 500.
Yeah.
Right? And steps. Now, so small, achievable, sequential steps. SAS. Now, why steps? Because I want points at which we can reassess, celebrate, reward, praise, encourage, even cajole or threaten, coax, re-educate, train, but points in time where we can figure whether or not we actually got there and what do we need to do to get to the next point. And so that's why I want it to be in steps. But instead of large steps like this, where we get fail, I can't do, if you've got tiny steps, it takes longer, but each one of these steps go, I can do. I'm being praised, I'm being thanked, I'm being rewarded, I'm being looked after. I'm good.
Yeah.
And my whole attitude changes towards trying to achieve targets. If we have fail after fail, that doesn't matter what target you put in front of them. They're not going to be in the mindset to want to try and achieve it. And this is where I started. Doing it right can have such a huge advantage on your business. Doing it wrong can really put a dampener on your business.
Yeah.
And this is where I want to stipulate using a business coach that actually knows our business is really, really important. And there's some good ones out there that have, especially if they've been a therapist or an owner, because we've got a whole lot of business coaches in our industry that don't actually understand our industry. They've got an accounting background or they've got a background in something else. And sure, they might understand small business, but if you don't understand our industry, you don't know what the key KPIs are or what the industry averages should be.
Yeah.
Now, I know that a good girl in our industry needs to make 30% of her total income in retail. How do I know that? I see 150 salons a year.
Yeah.
You can't beat
a little
those.
bit harder to work with.
Yeah. And I work with these girls side by side doing treatments. I know for myself and for some of the top therapists in the country, we want a 1 to 2 hit rate or better. For me personally, I look for one, I expect 100% hit rate.
Yeah.
And I'm disappointed in myself if I don't achieve that. But if you're going to put your hand up and say, I'm the best there is, then you've got to be able to do it. The thing about the top girls in the country, you still need to progress them in small, sequential, achievable steps, because if you don't, you're still going to have the same problem. And yes, they might already be proficient in retail sales or service dollars or rebooking rates or whatever. But if you make those progressions too big and they get fail after fail, it doesn't matter how much experience they've got, the same mood is going to fall over the salon. So I can't stipulate enough. By bringing those steps back, it's frustratingly slow. But think about it from the point of view of, you've got a young therapist. You want to retain this therapist over many years. And she's getting, I'm being praised, I'm being rewarded, I'm being thanked on a continual basis. Her inclination to look elsewhere is really low.
Yeah.
She's going to stay. You've got someone who keeps getting, you didn't make it, you failed, you didn't do good enough, it's not enough, it's not good.
Yeah.
They're not going to stick around.
No.
And it costs you a hell of a lot of money to put on a new staff member and get them up to speed. So in lots of salons, they could have a staff member working for them anywhere up to 3 to 6 months before they're actually profitable for them. By the time they train them up the way they want them. Now, that's a lot of time to put into someone to have them leave. All right. So small, achievable, sequential steps. And at each one of those steps, we need to formally take a point of time, whether it be a week or 2 weeks or a month, and formally sit that staff member down and assess what it is that they've achieved or not achieved. And what do we do from here? So there's 2 parts to it. Did or didn't they achieve? And what's the next step? I believe most girls in our industry, if we make them aware of a KPI that they're not achieving in or that they should be doing better, for instance, just recently, one of the salons that I work with had a fairly low rebooking rate. And I explained to all the girls what the difference was between a 40% and a 60% rebooking rate in terms of income for the salon. I then went on to show them the time between visits and what a difference that made.
Yeah.
Just by doing that bit of education, they all just looked at me and went, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It's worth hundreds of thousands. So we can't afford to send you on courses. We can't buy new equipment. We can't give you a car. We can't, because this money's being lost because you're not rebooking. You're not. That alone was enough impetus for it to improve.
Wow, that's cool. That little bit of education. It probably didn't even take you very long to explain it either, because they're pretty simple numbers.
Yeah, they are. But it's most girls want to do well. So the minute you make them aware of something, all of a sudden they want to improve. Then put a target in place and they go, okay, that's what I'm going to go for. So those formal meetings, whether they be one-on-one or whether they be as a group, as a staff meeting, become really important.
Yeah.
Now, I think if you're a salon owner watching this, you've got to have 2 lots of targets. You need the targets that are what I call management targets. These are large targets like increasing overall income or services income or retail income or customer numbers, which is the first one I would do, or the average spend per customer, or maybe the income per hour. So they're the major ones. I'll read them again. Overall income, services income, retail income, customer numbers, average spend per customer, and income per hour, right? Now, they should be management targets. For the average girl looking at the entire salon, not necessary. What we then need to do is break those down and look at specifics for each staff member. And it's okay if it's different for each staff member. So, for instance, if we're worried about overall income, maybe we should be looking at retail sales. And that can either be number of items, or maybe, which is the case at the moment, the number of items that are sold to appointments versus walk-in sales.
Yeah.
Okay. There are a lot of girls that look like they've got good sales, and they look like they've got good sales because lots of people are walking in and replenishing, but their actual sales to appointments aren't that flash.
Yeah.
Now, that can all be measured on Katoomba One. So we can set targets in very specific areas, and yet it will have a difference for our big overall target. We can also do a smaller target like increasing services. So that might be that in order to increase Alyssa's services for each week, we need to train her in a new treatment like that's going to earn more dollars, right? Like needling or IPL or laser or radio frequency or something like that. And in doing that, her income, her number of high-end services increases, therefore her income increases, therefore right. So this is how we set targets for staff. If I'm going to say to staff member, okay, I need to increase your retail sales, I usually will do it in the number of items. So we might start off with 3 items. We might go to 5 items. From 5 items, we might go to $250. From $250, we might go to $300. Once we get to $1,000, we'll change it to 30%. And so that target is continually growing, and it might be $300, $350, $400, $450, $500 in very small increments, like one item. And all of a sudden, we're getting success after success after success after success after success, and it just grows. The same thing can happen in services. If we train you up in a high-end treatment and then start pushing some of those clients to you, your services will increase week on week on week. So if you are then able to say to all your clients that you've been waxing, that I now do IPL hair removal, and get 1 per week to say yes, all of a sudden you're increasing in your services. That then has a big picture overall effect. So for me, we can look at things like, if we want to increase services, we can look at things like the percentage of high-end treatments that the girl's doing. It's very hard to increase your services if all you do all day are waxing and eyes. All right. But if I teach you how to do hot stone massage rather than just normal massage, we increase the value of your services. So it goes. The other thing about services is getting customers to try more than one treatment when they visit. I've talked about this in the past.
Yeah.
It makes you way more profitable and way more productive. And so maybe this, as a salon owner, we can do some crossover deals, and then it's up to the therapist to start selling those to their clients. But all of these things can be measured and therefore have a target. Retail is an easy one. It can be, first of all, it can be number of items, then it can be dollars, which you can put into Katoomba One, which means that you can start educating your staff about the mix of retail that they sell.
Yeah.
You know, your serums are where your dollars are. Your moisturizers where your dollars are. And so you start to have a look at things like lash serums, which sell really easily, but are worth $100. So you start to look at your things like the average spend per item in retail and how we can increase it by listing in our retail sales higher end products. And some of that can just be education along the way. So if I want you to climb from $300 to $400 in retail next week, what is it I need you to focus on? And so it might not be just working harder. It might be that we do some education on hyaluronic acid or on vitamin C and get your juices flowing so that when you do clients, it's front of mind.
Yeah, and they've already got that confidence because they've been slowly increasing over time and they feel supported and educated by their manager and stuff. So, yeah, you can just see how it all works together, right?
Now, you can do this in one-on-one meetings, which I love, okay? And so I get all managers and owners to do one-on-one meetings at least once a fortnight. I think that checking in with a staff member on where they're at and assessing and having the staff member know that it's being looked at.
Yeah.
There's
They're
so
not seeing it yet.
there's so many out there. The staff have got no idea week by week about what's going on. It's one thing for the owner to know. It's a whole different thing for the staff member to know the owner knows. And so for me, that checking in is really important. You can also do it in staff meetings where you do it as a group, but I really like these one-on-one meetings. And people say, oh, yeah, but it takes up time. Okay, so if I spend 15 minutes with one-on-one with you, Alyssa, what can you do in 15 minutes? I mean, an eye trio maybe worth $35.
Yeah,
I can guarantee that in that 15 minutes over the next week, you'll make a damn sight more than $35. And if that is in the schedule, you know it's important and that you know I value the time with you to take you out of the calendar and have it with me.
Absolutely.
And so these things become subtle, but they're really very important. The second thing that I think people get, so that awareness, that one-on-one or staff meeting or just awareness is vital. There's so many girls who just don't realize. They didn't realize that their retail was poor or didn't realize that they weren't doing enough IPO or didn't realize that, and all of a sudden, bang, just by letting them know.
Yeah.
But the second one is training and education. Now, I've heard the argument that if I spend money on my staff training them and they leave, it's all wasted. My argument is if you don't spend money on your staff and they stay, we're going to be them.
Yeah.
And so it's...
Or they might just leave anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So all of the salons that I coach, we build individualized training programs so that no matter where you are in your career, there's something else for you to look forward to, which means that for Mary Jane, I can be putting her on a retail target. But for you, Alyssa, who's been in the industry and your retail's pretty good, I can be talking to you about your percentage retail, or I can be talking to you about your rebooking rate, or I can be talking to you about your percentage of high-end services. Or do you see where I'm going with this? So every single person in the team can have completely different targets, but it builds into the overall target of the salon making more money. So individualized training programs become an important part of where we take every single staff member in a team. Even really, I'll give you the example. Julie, my partner, runs a really great salon here in Wellington. Her manager has been in the industry 20 years, one of the best therapists you're ever going to meet. So teaching her management skills was part of the education. So her targets now aren't individual targets, they're salon targets. So she's responsible for everyone in the team doing the right thing. So there's a never-ending supply of training and education. Her management skills has been very rewarding for the salon and super for her as an individual. So there's so many things. It might be even things like taking a junior and giving her the responsibility of closing the salon. So she might have a checklist that every day. Her target might be that everything on that checklist gets done every day. Now, it sounds like a silly target, but it means that then you can pass that responsibility onto her at any given time. Same with opening, same with doing the till at the end of the day, same with, do you understand where I'm going?
Yeah, I like to think about it holistically. Like numbers are really, really important, but actually what other skills can you be imparting and how can you measure those?
Yeah. So for more experienced staff, it might not be numbers. It might not be rebooking rates or the number of new clients that you're converting or things like that. It might actually be doing management skills. And so targets can be set in all sorts of different ways. And so this idea of individualized training programs, this education according to ability, becomes really, really important. Taking a junior and giving them the opportunity to start doing some peels or microdermabrasion or starting them in on basic needling or those sorts of things can open their eyes to, oh, wow, I've got an opportunity, but it also increases their dollars per hour. So there's a whole lot of stuff that can come with it. For me, a salon owner needs to hone in on what specific part of their business needs improving. Now, there might be more than one, but you need to pick the worst. You need to specify one, okay? When you do that, each of your staff members have a look at what their performance is in that area. So let's give you an example. If you're doing retail sales and you have a look at your overall retail for the salon, and retail sales represent only 23% of your total income, that's not enough. Okay, so there's your target. You want to reach 30%.
Yeah.
What we then do is we say, right, the 3 girls that work for you, what's theirs?
Yeah.
How many items are they selling? What dollars are they making? Start at a point where they can basically not fail. So if, Alyssa, you normally sell $250 a week, roughly, start there. Don't make it 500. Start there. Then quote just a step and just a step and just a step, small, achievable, sequential steps to success. The next person might be at a completely different point. They might be at $600 a week and you want them to grow to, do you know what I mean? And so you can't make everyone across the board the same. They work different hours, they have different skills, they have different abilities, where even different personalities. And so you need to do it individualized. If, for instance, the salon is customer numbers, which is the biggest thing I see as a coach. Customer numbers are key. And I've talked about it before. Customer numbers are king. I'd much rather take on a salon that has high customer numbers and low turnover than a salon that has high turnover and low customer numbers. So if you're trying to build customer numbers, then rebooking becomes the focus for each one of your staff members, and especially rebooking new customers. And so education about, do we have a voucher for new customers to come back? Is there an automatic reply on Katoomba that after the customer leaves, they get given a letter with a voucher to come back within a set period of time? Is 2 weeks later there a reminder to use that voucher? All of that can be set up in Katoomba, automatic. The girls need to talk about that. If they talk about that, what are the chances then of that customer rebooking so that they can use that voucher? So there's a whole lot of stuff that you need to look at, and it comes from your major target being broken down into smaller individual targets for each staff member. And that's the beauty of targets. So for me, it becomes, if you do it right, it becomes something that really drives the girls. I can do that. I'm going to be able to do that. That's not too much. I've even gone to the point where I've said, okay, so you've made your $300 this week in retail. What do you want to go for next week? And they'll go, I reckon I can do 500. You go,
yeah.
no, I'm serious. This is the conversation.
That's cool, but they're motivated, right? They're excited.
Yeah. But me, I'm going, I don't want failure. So I've gone, I tell you what, I was thinking of just a little step. You've got a big step. Why don't we split it a bit half? Why don't we make it 400?
Yeah.
All right. And they go, oh, yeah, okay. And that's probably, so I've actually brought them back so that I know that it's something that can be achievable. I don't want to, I want them to have so many successes that if they do get a fail, for whatever reason, we all have bad weeks, they're willing to give it another go because they've enjoyed so much success. So if we leave it up to staff, they want to sound like they can do anything. So sometimes we just need to pull them back a little bit and just egg them on step by step by step in small steps rather than big ones. And if we do that, we fall into I can tell you, before COVID, I used to travel extensively worldwide, doing training and teaching and demonstrations and speaking at expos and things like that. So I would spend anywhere up to 140 to 170 nights a year overseas. So my salon was managed and staff, saw me whenever I came home, basically. When I got to do the chance for one-on-ones, you could see they were so pleased with themselves. They'd have their printout already going, look, come on.
Yeah.
And I loved it. They'd expect me to bring them a present or, and I didn't mind at all because they were achieving and achieving and achieving. Now, I love that. People say, one-on-ones is a bit daunting and stuff and all that. But if your staff are achieving, they're going to come into those one-on-ones going,
it's going to be a very positive chat, right?
Good. So they're going to look forward to them in the end. And even if you do get one that isn't up to scratch, you can go, you've done so well up to now. All right, put a line in the sand. Let's go for it again.
Next week.
And it's easy, a little bit of extra encouragement or help, or sometimes it might even be a little threat, but it doesn't really matter. Whatever it takes for that personality to,
get there.
I've had bets with staff. Like, it just depends on the personality on how you go about it. But if you've got them going, I can, then if they do get a small hiccup, that's all it is. And they're still willing to go. Now, the beauty of doing these targets this way, you having a big target that you are looking at as an owner, and staff having individualized, smaller things that they can concentrate on. Don't set too many. Even your senior girls can only cope with 1, 2, or maybe 3 different targets, like retail sales dollars, maybe rebooking percentage. That might be enough for a senior girl to be concentrating on.
Like keep them focused.
And don't leave it too long to check in. So there's nothing wrong with you during the week to go, Alyssa, what's your target for retail this week? Wednesday. And you go, oh, yeah, I'm supposed to be at $400. I said, well, you've only had at 100. It's Wednesday. You've only got Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Oh, yeah. I'll pull my finger out and I'll get on with it. That awareness is fine. And as a manager or owner, that's part of your job, is to daily be looking and making sure. Not only at the salon, but at each individual as well. So that sort of thing can be encouraging as well. Or similarly, to go, well done, you're already at your target. Maybe I should have listened to you. You could have got 5.
Or see what more you can do this week. See how far you can achieve it.
So next week, that's what we'll make it. Well done.
Nice.
And so I think when it's done right, it means staff are happy. Staff are pushing themselves. Staff are aware of what's going on. Staff are trying to do the best thing by their clients. Staff are not going to leave. When done poorly, staff are discouraged. They're being continually told off or feel like they're being continually told off. They don't feel like they're achieving. They don't feel like they've got direction. And that's the time when you find high staff turnover.
Yeah.
So whether you're putting your targets in retail sales, services, whether you're putting them into rebooking rates, whether you're putting them into very specific things like retail sales to appointments as opposed to walk-in, or whether it be rebooking rates for new clients. So it can be really specific. That's all fine. It can all be done in Katoomba One. It can be looked at daily by both the staff member and management. It's easy.
Yeah. Cool.
Don't make the mistake of aiming too high too quick so that you get fail.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. Well, thank you so much, Paul, for today. So many amazing insights. And yeah, I love that. I love SAS. I'll remember that.
SAS.
Very, very easy to remember, guys.
Look, if people want more information, they can jump on my website or get in touch with me or contact me on social media, whatever, email me.
Cool.
Like I said before, there's some good coaches out there who understand our industry. If you're not working with one and you're struggling to get girls to meet targets, it doesn't mean that you have to work with a coach long term. It can just be for a period of time to help you get over a hurdle. So if you want someone like me or, like I said, there's some good people in our industry, just get in touch. It can often be way more affordable than what you're thinking, and it can really just help you lift your business to the next point.
Absolutely. Well, just like you're giving your staff targets, it can help, someone else giving you targets and advice, right? And, and training. And so it's hard.
There's that accountability. It's one thing to go off and train yourself to get fit. It's another thing to go and train with a group of people or a trainer who's watching what you do. There's no getting out of it. You have to be there. There's no convincing yourself, I'll only do 5 instead of 10. There's none of them because you have to do it. And so a part of using a coach is that accountability and making sure that you are doing it right and that you're not actually doing things that are detrimental to your business. I meet a whole lot of really capable salon owners. And one of the things about most of the salon owners I work with is they probably would have got to where they want to get all by themselves eventually. Working with someone like me, they get there a lot quicker and they don't make costly mistakes, things that'll cost them money or cost them time. And that's where, the value is.
Absolutely. Cool. Well, thank you so much, Paul. We really, really appreciate it. And a really great way to kind of kick off our, month kind of focusing on targets, which is very exciting.
It's an easy thing to look at in Katoomba. So, and all the girls in the salons that I coach, pretty much all of them follow, they've got a set of targets and they follow that daily. So it becomes an important part of what they do every day.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll provide you guys kind of upcoming with more kind of detail around that. There are 7 particular targets, but obviously Paul today spoke about lots and lots of numbers. So there's obviously other ones that you may want to track as well. But we'll be coming back with more information as we go on. So thank you so much, Paul. And thank you everyone for watching, and we'll see you guys all on our next Facebook Live. See you, everyone.